We'll call the meeting of the Ways and Means Committee together today, Tuesday, October the 6th, 2015. Deanne, would you please call the roll?
Moonen?
Here.
Tilly?
Here.
Durancic?
Here.
Begic?
Here.
Garrett?
Here.
Lutz?
Here.
Krieger?
Yes.
Warren present.
Thank you, ma'am. We've all had an opportunity to review the minutes of September the 1st, 2015.
Motion approved. Support.
It's moved and supported. Any questions or discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Under petitions and communications from the Bay County Sheriff, we have the OHSP Traffic Enforcement Grant Project. Oh, I'm sorry, I must have missed public input. Sorry about that. Anybody that would like to address the Ways and Means Committee, please step to the podium, state your name and the issue that you'd like to speak on behalf of. You have an opportunity to address the committee. All right, nobody coming forward. Under petitions and communications from the sheriff, we have the traffic enforcement grant projects. Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Also from the sheriff and from the emergency management coordinator, this is the acceptance of port security grant award.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Questions or discussion? Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you, Chair. Or on the vehicle that they're going to use, is that something that's being bought locally, the boat?
I don't believe so. I believe it's a specific vehicle specified in this agreement. Brian should know a little more than me because it's his friend.
All right.
Ryan Gans, Emergency Management Coordinator. Unfortunately, this particular boat that you're going to purchase will not be able to be purchased locally just due to the size, scope, and type of vessel that this is going to be.
So it'll be all equipped, we won't have to add anything to it once it gets here?
Actually, as part of the grant, we're going to be using some of the equipment that we currently have to offset our in-kind piece. So we have some things on the other boats that we're going to be able to put on there that is very good equipment. Radios, some clear equipment, things like that. So we're going to put those onto the boat and take up some of that in-kind piece.
So the boats that we're taking out of the rotation, those will be sold,
Correct.
auctioned off?
Yes. Auction road, probably, however it's handled.
And what time of the year will that happen? Do you know?
I'm assuming that we'll do it as soon as possible.
Because I could see some people would probably want to get their hands on that boat because it's very distinct, so when they're going down the bay, people will think it's...
It's not going to work that way. We're going to take all the insignias off.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. You all done,
Yeah,
Commissioner
thank you.
Krieger? Commissioner Harry.
Yeah, I just kind of curious because I didn't, maybe I missed it, but so the three vessels you have now, are you selling three or are you just getting rid of one?
I believe we're getting rid of one at this point.
Okay.
That is unserviceable. We haven't used it in a year. It's unserviceable at this point.
Okay, and
We'll look into the second boat and get rid of it next year in the spring and put it back in the water. All our vessels are out of the water at this point.
but you like to have basically three in services.
Well,
as
if we have an incident on the river or in the bay, we need three vehicles or vessels.
And the new vessel that the grant is covering, I'm just kind of curious on the size of that.
25 foot.
25 foot.
Yes.
Wow, it must be really well equipped.
Yes, it's impressive.
Sounds very impressive. So it'll be exciting to see that. So yes, I think it's a very good. I think it's a good project. Because I think the sheriff's department will like it. I think you probably have some of your maritime officers wanting to be on that vessel.
Probably have a lot of enlistments.
Anybody else? Now, if what we salvage or scrap that doesn't come to the 25% of our in-kind, where's the rest of that money going to come from for this new ship, or this new boat?
Well, part of it is going to, there are a couple of community grants that are going to be solicited for that money. Of course, the sale of the vessels. And then the remainder would have to come out of general fund. The The way this works is that we have to pay the whole thing up front, and then they reimburse us, minus the in-kind piece. We also have an M&A piece along with that, that's 5%. So with all these little things chipping away at that, 25% will get very close.
But at some point, if you don't achieve it, then you're coming here for a budget adjustment.
Yes.
Okay. All right, just so we have a general idea of how much we benefited by selling and salvaging and how much is going to have to come from the general fund. All right.
At this point, I know of 2 grants we're going to be able to get. I don't want to mention who they are at this point because we have to solicit for them. But we have at least 2 that we're going to be able to get money from.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad, I think it's a good thing, but I still think we need to, you know, we approve things with the 25% and down the road, we're transferring money or we're you know, we don't even remember, so it'd be nice if we get some feedback on if we have to take money from the general fund. You know, that, obviously we're gonna be informed on it, I would hope, so.
And we made sure that this resolution didn't include budget adjustments.
Didn't?
Didn't.
All right,
So
okay. All right,
basically just accepting the federal grant.
All right. Commissioner Lutz.
How often do these opportunities for these types of grants?
This port security grant is every year. Yes, the Homeland Security provides $100 million nationwide for port security grants. In the past, the port security grant has been very contingent upon the port rankings. So like Port of LA, Port of New York, and even Port of Detroit got very high rankings. And the smaller the port, the lower you were in the ranking system. Well, they basically did away with that ranking system this last year, which allowed a lot of the small ports like Port Saginaw to be a lot more in the mix for those grants.
Do we need to look at in the upcoming years to replace our other 2 vehicles or ship out?
At some point, one is very serviceable at this time. The second one is still serviceable. A few years down the road, we'll look at replacing it. We may apply for a grant and may or may not get it. We've applied for this grant before, and it's been denied before the application is even submitted. It's not an easy grant to get.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering because I know our fleet is old.
It's another fleet, yes.
All right, Commissioner Herrick.
I guess I did have one more question. When does the money be asked for from the commission to make the payment? It's going to be, I mean, you know, what's the timetable on it? I know that the grant was one of my questions, but you answered that. But you know, so if the grants don't come in on a certain timetable, so when do we have to make the payment to get the vessel?
As soon as we order the boat, we will have to make the payment.
Okay. So that's as soon as you get the grant money and all this other stuff. Basically,
Pretty
as soon as you get
much.
everything together.
Pretty well
Okay.
done.
Okay. I understand.
Commissioner, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I had also asked about training, and they told me the Coast Guard is going to train all the drivers of the boats.
All right, good. Commissioner Begic.
Yeah, there are a couple points in the whereas about the dive recovery team with the current vessels, the gear overloads the vehicle and takes longer to get out to the site. So that, I see that as a positive. And then the radar and the thermal imaging that will be on the vessel that currently we didn't have before. So, positive points.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. From the Drain Commissioner, we have the 2015 assessment rolls.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Register of Deeds, this is making strides against breast cancer. Jill, you want to, maybe we'll move it and support it.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Jill, you want to?
Yeah, I'm Jill Rainick, and I'm leading a team again this year for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, and it's Saturday, October 24th. What we'd like to do is have a bake sale here on October 19th. We'd like everybody to come to it and support us. we did pretty good last year, and we want to try to beat our $625, so. That's a one-day thing, so we're pretty happy about it, so.
Good job.
Thank you.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yeah, I just have one question. So all the baked goods are coming from the registered deeds, or are there
No,
other
we have a
people?
lot of volunteers that are helping, yeah, so. If you want to make something, you can.
I might do that.
And they're good, I had some.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Jill. Anybody have any, Bob?
Yeah, the Diabetes Association wanted to set up a booth next
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. From the Health Director, this is the Nonpoint Source Program Grant Funding.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Go ahead, Commissioner
I
Krieger.
do. Joe? I know it's a non-point source program. Is this gonna kind of coincide with water quality issues and beach closures?
Hopefully, yes. This is primarily designed for the Cacao River watershed. Unfortunately, we couldn't expand it throughout the county because it has to fall into a watershed that's currently under a 319 plan. And what it does, basically, we were here, we applied last year, but what it does is it, these small homeowners, especially those that may not know a lot about their septic systems, will go out, do an inspection, have the tank pump, kind of explain to them how things work, how they can manage it. If it's in a case where they need to make some improvements, we'll try to work with them to get them to have the improvements done. And if it's a case where it's certainly a pipe leading to the ditch, we will follow through with the necessary enforcement, but always work with the homeowner to
So
rectify the situation.
my question to you then is, so you have a stretch, let's say, from the bridge at Euclid to the bridge down where the expressway crosses. There's a lot of homes right in that. Are we randomly checking these places? How is it that
How do
we're
we
gonna
know
knock
it's
on
at
the door
risk?
and say, we're gonna look at your septic field today?
Well, this is what we did, is we have over 16,000 septic records for the entire county. We classified those with a grant from the Drain Commissioner. We classified those at most at risk is if we don't have any information on their septic field and we know that they are not connected to municipal sewer. In some of those cases, yeah, they already are on municipal sewer, so we're not necessarily worried. A lot of those cases, those are newer houses along the river, and we probably do have up-to-date information on those. Or it might be that their septic systems are more than 20 years old, so they're quote at risk for failure. So what we'll do is we'll do additional outreach to those folks. We don't just march onto their property and say, we want to see what's in there. We want to work with the homeowners to ensure that, number one, that they understand how things work and that we work with them, especially if we have to rectify a situation.
And so if you run into, let's say, grandma and grandpa who's been there forever, will we let them know that there are funds available through one of our programs dealing with septic fields if they have to upgrade? I mean,
Absolutely.
It could cost several thousands of dollars to do that. So I just don't want everybody on the river freaking out thinking that where they're gonna come up with $3,000.
No, and that's the thing too, this is a voluntary program as well.
Okay.
We want folks to come forward, but we're not forcing anybody to do so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Krieger. Commissioner Tilly?
Through an experience working with Bay Future, I know that Bangor would not be the only township that does not have up-to-date sewer, up-to-date records on who are hooked up. So it's not like it's anybody's fault.
No.
It's just archaic, the way things were recorded. And when they came to put sewer lines in, not everybody back in the day did. And there are missing links throughout the entire county, let alone.
From time to time, we will find folks in the city of Bay City that are still connected to the septic system. Yeah. And then when we find out that they're in failure, usually what the rule of thumb is if they are closer to 200 feet, they're pretty much required to connect to the sanitary sewer.
Anybody else? Joel, this program's been ongoing. You've been working on this Calcallan River septic for a few years, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So you pretty much know what homes need some help, right?
We have good indication from the sources of information that we have, which is primarily the records that we have in place. Some of the issues that we do have is that if anything was constructed prior to the 1970s, we have very scant information on that. There are a fair amount of septic systems that are 40 years old, and they're still working. But in a lot of circumstances, we don't have the information because once a system is permitted, we generally don't go back and do any kind of maintenance work with the homeowners. It's not mandated to do so. And that's one of the things too that we'd like to see is more interaction between homeowners and the health department, especially along the lines of maintenance.
But if you have a field that's not functionable and is causing some problems in the river, you have the ability to do some enforcement, right?
Absolutely, and typically how we find out about those are it's either a complaint that's been filed about that particular system, or it's a situation where we might be doing, some surface water quality tests, and it's something that's readily apparent that there's a high amount of something, some kind of bacteria taking place. So we'll try to take a look at septic fields. We're pretty good along the river. We've done a pretty good job of that. It's those secondary, those non-point sources where it might be coming from a field a mile away or 2 miles away that we're not so sure of.
Are septics a non-point as well?
If it is not directly discharging into a body of water, yes, that would be considered a non-point source.
Okay, and, I was gonna ask a question. It's all right, we'll get it. Oh, this is, but if somebody has a problem, this grant only, the 25% that we're going to ask, and that's just for the cleaning of the tank.
This
That
is
has nothing to
primarily
do
for the
with,
inspection and the pump out of the tank.
well, where does the money come from if somebody has a failing tank and has to replace it?
There are a variety of different sources that are available right now. Well, even though it's nearly exhausted, there is the revolving loan fund that the Department of Environmental Affairs has put together. There are sources from MSHA. There are sources sometimes from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. There are different other sources that we can rely on. It all depends, but in many cases too, for the most part, homeowners can afford to pay for these things themselves, and what we'll try to do is work with them to do so. It's when we get to those hardship cases that we really have to work within the community. There was one in Conning earlier this year that it was a pretty coordinated effort between
Thank you.
Health Department and Purchasing and Environmental Affairs, and also Bay Area Housing, I believe.
Yes.
So we'll work with them. We don't want to see anybody kicked out of their house because they've got a failing septic system.
But if it's not if it's a field somewhere, how do you enforce that if there's a problem? Because I think we all know the Calcallan is a pretty good contributor to pollution in the bay.
Bottom line, if the field is failing and the technical.
Not the septic field, if it's say a farm field or something like that.
If we notice that there's a pipe coming out of the farm field and it's got human refuse coming out of it, then we will attempt to find the source of that. And the way that you do that is you basically got to do detective work as to wherever those pipes leak from. So a lot of them are just drain pipes coming from several different locations. And we'll work with the homeowners, go and try to approach the homeowners. If we can do it, we will do a dye test. Sometimes those are very successful and we can tell in a matter of hours where that comes from. Sometimes we've done dye tests and ran, and we don't find anything. Ran the water, and ran the water, and ran the water, and we don't find anything. Those can be extremely difficult. But generally what we try to do is work with them, and we even sometimes, when I saw the drain commissioner in there too, is that we'll get referrals from the drain commissioner's office to we've got it seems a quote, quote, hot pipe coming onto a ditch, and it looks like it's got human refuse. Will you please work with us on that?
What about animal?
What about animal?
Right, I mean, if you've got a lot of field and you've got some,
Well, then it gets a little more complicated. If it's a farming thing, we don't really have jurisdiction in that manner. Anything with agriculture, we will refer this to the Department of Environmental Quality, and to the Michigan Department of Agriculture. In those circumstances, if it's animal refuse and it's not protected under different agricultural statutes, then we can move forward on that. But if it's a substantial amount, if it's like a horse farm, cattle farm, combined animal feeding operation, those are so significant enough that we will have to actually refer those.
all right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, sir. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Under F, from the Director of the Division on Aging, this is a memorandum of agreement with Region 7 Area Agency. This is on the path towards diabetes program.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. G, the Director of Environmental Affairs and Community Development. This is a fiduciary on behalf of the Public Advisory Council.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. From the Director of Recreation and Facilities, this is a RAP grant for the community center bleachers in the large gym.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Commissioner Krieger.
Just a big thank you. We had our little get-together this afternoon at 1 o'clock at the community center. And I think having these new bleachers come in with the new floor that we have makes it look like we have a brand new building. So they did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Commissioner Begin.
I second the motion. The floors are nice, there's no dead spots, and no excuses to not dribble the ball correctly anymore.
Just as a side note, Commissioner Begic made 8 out of 10 free throws. He did good, so the floor passed the Juan Begic test.
No, that's good. That's good. All right, if nobody else has anything else, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. From the Equalization, we have the 2015 Clerk Certificates, 4029.
So moved.
Or
Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have some payables from the general, BAYANET, Center Ridge Arms.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. From the Finance Officer, we have an analysis of the general fund equity.
Move to receive.
Moved and supported. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have number 2, update regarding the Executive Directive 2007-11.
Motion to receive.
Support.
Moved and supported. I just kind of reading that, I got a question here real quick. It says, to the contractor, grantor agencies to confirm the level of funding for the current year. Now, are they all responding back every month?
Yes, I
Good.
get quite a good response. Yes, I do. I get emails back from the departments.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. All right. We've been moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have the award of the banking services bid.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And finally, we got the presentation of the 2016 Bay County proposed executive budget. That's going to be next Tuesday, right, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. So, I don't know if we need to move that, or it's just informational, I guess.
I'll move to receive.
All right, moved and supported. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed, motion carries. Any referrals? Unfinished business? New business? We have no closed session.
We do not.
And we have anything under miscellaneous? Commissioner Tilley?
I had the privilege to attend the Michigan Works annual conference yesterday, and I've got to listen to the governor for 2 hours, and I was so excited. But anyways, his relentless positive action is leading us down the path that the regions are going to be within his next 3+ years in office. They are going to happen. But from the Michigan Works standpoint, we have signed a contract with Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works has signed a contract with Gratiot and Isabella County. We are now a 5-county region. More details to come as this month unfolds. We have until June 30th, I believe, or June 1st next year to put together a full-blown plan, or potentially, as we stated before at earlier meetings, the governor's office could send somebody in to make that happen on their own. I'll keep you posted as things go along. The northern 3 counties have appealed the mandated melding of this 8-county region that the governor wants to see happen, and so they are not part of this contract at this point in time. But again, keep you posted as things unfold going forward here. He is very much about one-stop shopping, and that was the whole idea of this, is that, and why we talked about it with the Bay Future as well, was that you come to a region, and it's better to talk to one person than it is to 3 different counties in the Great Lakes Bay region. You have one county you talk to, and we've got all this to offer you. That's the intent behind these regions. Whether they fall in the MCOG lines and are legal going forward, that's yet to be seen. The other entities, some of the other entities that have been contracted with the state, for instance, Community Mental Health, they go all the way down to the Ohio border. They just signed that contract last year. So some are being forced and some seem to not be enforced. But we're taking the steps to go forward into this 5-county regional agreement over the course of the next 9 months.
All right,
That's the
thanks.
update I have so far.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yep, just to follow up, so you spent 2 hours with the governor.
Yeah, an hour, the first hour was a public speech to everybody, and then 45 minutes maybe, and then there was an hour private session with the CEOs of of the Michigan Works agencies and the board chairs from each of the agencies.
So Ed Oberski, who was, let's say, the
He was with
CEO,
me.
is he still in line then to navigate or direct this combination?
At this point in time, yes.
But the governor could still step in and say, no, I'm gonna give you the person that's gonna oversee everything.
Yes, but the intent is, with us moving forward the way we're moving, that's less likely to happen, and we will end up with one entity under the tutelage of Ed over the course of whatever time we put together an agreement with
I
the
know
other
he's been
counties.
very busy working with the other counties.
Yes.
To try to get an understanding and make sure that it's even based on population.
Correct. Ed has done a great job through wading through this, with some coaxing from the counties and their commissioners, to form a path that is more conducive to us as counties, I guess as participants in the Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works, so that also includes the private sector as well.
Okay, I know Deanne had played quite a part in making
Yes.
sure paperwork was followed through with Mr. Oberski. so-
Greatly appreciate that.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tilley, where,
Yes.
now, a lot of this funding is coming from the federal government, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me
about
ask you
$2
this.
million comes from the state, and that's I guess the hammer they're holding over our heads is that if we don't have an agreement by next June 1st, the state's gonna withhold its $2 million from Great Lakes Bay, Michigan Works, plus the other counties. So it comes up to $2 million, which is about 20% of the budget.
What's the flavor in Washington? Because there was some issues a couple of years ago where they wanted to defund job training.
Actually, I think just last year or this year, they have re-upped the job training program. So we're okay going forward. In fact, we've acquired, I just signed yesterday, 3 other grants that Ed and his staff have sought out that were part of a $200 million, I think it was, that I don't know if you guys are at the meeting, Tom and Vaughn. It was like a $200 million federal grant that was going out across the nation, and we ended up with $1 million of it in the Great Lakes Bay region.
Good.
Because of
All right.
the hard work of the staff over there.
Okay. Anybody else have anything under miscellaneous? Any announcements, Commissioner? Duran, Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I had to think for a second.
There you go, good old Polish name, how can you forget? I'd just like to thank Deanne for her job, the great job that she did in putting together the Tri-County meeting. So thank you very much, and myself, I got to sit with a gentleman from Saginaw County, and oh my God, are we lucky. I mean, that's all I gotta say. They got so much, unfunded health care, and holy cow, I don't know how they're gonna recover if they can. So, but thank you, Deanne, for all your efforts.
All right. Anybody else under announcements?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?